These are the pictures of Canadian wildfires. Did you know that Canada has been burning more and more with each passing year? It's true. Let's look at the numbers. Back in the 80s and early 90s, the average wildfire season saw less than 1 million hectares burned. But brace yourself, because things took a wild turn in the next decade. The number of hectares burned nearly doubled. Fast forward to the recent years, and it's even crazier. After a short break, the average area burned in a typical season skyrocketed to a whopping 2.8 million hectares from 2013 to 2022. Can you believe it? Almost every year in the past decade, we are talking about 2.8 million hectares or more of land being completely burned. Now get ready for this. In just the few months of this year, over 4.5 million hectares have already gone up in the flames. That's more than any other year in the past 4 decades. Can you imagine the scale of devastation? Let's compare. Okay, 4.7 million hectares is equal to 47,000 square kilometers. You know, area of Denmark and Netherlands is less than 45,000 square kilometers. There are over 60 countries on Earth whose sizes are less than 45,000 square kilometers. Now imagine how much of land is being burnt every year. Most worrying part is these wildfires have become worse year after year. So join us as we uncover the reasons behind this alarming trend and explore how Canada is facing these enormous challenges. It's a story you won't want to miss. Here we go. But why are these wildfires getting worse every year? Well, the answer lies in a combination of factors, and it's essential to understand them. It may be easy to find the reasons, but solution? I don't exactly know. And probably nobody knows. Let's talk about something that we know of. One significant factor is the increasing temperatures in Canada. As our planet warms, so does the northern latitudes including Canada. The rising temperatures create a perfect breeding ground for larger and wilder fires. These fires burn hotter and more intensely, quickly spreading and engulfing vast areas of land. And as the fires grow in intensity, they release an enormous amount of smoke, releasing higher into the atmosphere and traveling greater distances. Another crucial aspect is the drying of the land. With intense heat and prolonged droughts, the ground becomes parched and susceptible to ignition. Even a single spark can ignite a blaze that spreads rapidly due to the dry conditions, leading to a devastating wildfire. Furthermore, lightning strikes play a crucial role in triggering these fires. In May, lightning-induced fires erupted across central and western Canada. These fires, combined with the unrelenting heat, set the stage for an early and extreme fire season. The consequences of these wildfires extend beyond the immediate devastation of the land. The massive amount of carbon released into the atmosphere from the fires contributes to climate change, intensifying the conditions that fueled the fires in the first place. It becomes a vicious cycle, creating an increased risk of more frequent and severe wildfires in the future. Now let's crunch into some more numbers to show how worse is this year in compared to previous years and how it is set to become the worst wildfire in history. This graph represented here showcases the striking comparison between the area of land burnt in certain Canadian provinces this year and the average over the past 25 years. It reveals a stark reality of the escalating wildfire situation in Canada. By the present date in June 2023, approximately 3.5 million hectares of land have already been consumed by wildfires in these provinces. In contrast, the average for the same time period over the past 25 years was a mere 180,000 hectares. This means that the area burned by this time is over 10 times larger than the historical average of the past quarter century. To put this into perspective, let's examine the Canadian average for a full year. Typically, wildfires burn an average of 2.3 million hectares across the country. However, astonishingly, by June 2023, the total area burned has already doubled that average, reaching a staggering 4.7 million hectares. Now let's talk about other data. Here I am talking about numbers and sizes of wildfires. Number means how many wildfire locations and size means area covered by one fire. Take a closer look at a graph that illustrates the alarming rise of wildfires in Canada. This graph shows the changing trends in the size of wildfires over the years, and it's quite eye-opening. From early 1980s to early 1990s, the median size of wildfires in Canada was around 112 hectares. It was a different time back then, with smaller fires being more common. But as we move forward to the years between 2013 and 2022, something shocking happened. The median wildfire jumped to a staggering 509 hectares. That's more than 4 times the size of the fires from a few decades ago. The decreasing number of wildfires can be attributed to government's effort to control the wildfire, and the story doesn't end there. If we take a closer look at the current year, the situation becomes even more astounding. In this year alone, the median size of wildfires had reached a mind-blowing 1900 hectares. Just imagine the sheer scale of these fires. This graph clearly illustrates a disturbing trend. As the years progress, wildfires in Canada are growing larger and more destructive. Now let's jump into the effects. The destruction of land, vegetation, wildlife, resources expense to control, displacement of people are just few. I'm not going in detail about these effects, not to mention the health effects of smoke. Let's dive into the graph that illustrates the measurement of wildfire emissions. This measurement is based on data obtained from the carbon emission by wildfire in metric tons every day. The graph shows the wildfire emissions over the years. Let's focus on the first week of June. It reveals a remarkable contrast between the emissions in 2023 and the previous 20 years. In the first week of June 2023, the graph indicates that the wildfire emissions reached close to 100 metric ton of carbon. This measurement is significantly higher compared to the same period in the previous 20 years, where the emissions remained below 30 metric ton of carbon. These numbers align well with the graphs I showed during this video. Every data and figures suggest that we are about to witness the worst wildfire of Canadian history, or you can say worst of any recorded year yet. In conclusion, the impact of wildfires is undeniable, and while there is no exact way to measure the losses they cause, it is evident that the government invests a significant amount of money each year to combat them. These efforts have resulted in a reduction in the number of wildfires, but the size and intensity of the fires continue to escalate. This indicates that there are underlying factors at play that we have yet to fully understand. It could be attributed to climate change, which is altering weather patterns and exacerbating fire conditions. Additionally, there may be natural phenomena occurring that we are not accustomed to, further contributing to the escalating wildfire crisis. Each year, we find ourselves declaring that it is the worst year for wildfire. But the question remains, until when will this trend continue? Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Bye for now.